So schools are in session across the country, and a lot of strange things happen along the way. And I got to ask you a question. If you were a teacher, and some of you are, and I'd love to hear from those who teach or have taught, and especially parents. If you are a teacher, do you want to be socially connected, social friends on media, social media connections with the parents of students? Let me explain. So when you're in high school, more often than not, in most schools across the country, you don't have one teacher, you have multiple teachers. You start in one period, you go to history, and then you go to poli-sci, and you have 4, 5, 8 teachers throughout the course of the day. So you have multiple teachers. Junior high school, that happens too. But when you're an elementary student, more often than not, you have one teacher through the day. Now, there are parents out there who I know who when the list of classes comes out for their child, the parent gets on social media and does some snooping. And they go to social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, formerly known as Twitter. Parents, I know specifically parents who have gone, who have found out the teachers for their kids, and they've gone to their social media sites and friended them. Because not just for professional reasons, but personal reasons. I've actually heard a parent say, I want to know who's teaching my kid, and I want to know what they believe. I want to know if they're part of Black Lives Matter. I want to know if they voted for Trump. I want to know if they support the Democratic Party. And I have a weird look on my face going, what? How does that impact what you do? So I got to ask you, as a parent and as a educator, how do you feel about a parent of a student friending their teachers? My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, sitting in for Chris Crock. Chris is back next Tuesday. You can check me out on social media, by the way, and you can interact with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, on X, and Instagram at Westside Jeff. I get a lot of interaction, instant messages throughout the show, and I try to interact with them as many as I can. Hard to do that while I'm talking. And you can also pick up the phone and dial 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. I've seen many stories where students in school, their parents have gone to check out their teachers across social media to see what the teachers believe, what they do on their personal time. And I've heard from teachers that said, I hate this. I don't want to be friends, social media, with my students' family, with their parents. It's an epic fail. I've talked about this before over the last couple years, and I actually got a listener email from a listener. Let's call him Matt. He's a teacher. Let's just call him Matt. And the story is, there's a mom of a third grader, and when the mom found out who her third grader's teacher was going to be, she friended Matt across the social media because she wanted to see what Matt's political beliefs are. She wanted to see what Matt's social trends are. She wanted to see, she's snooping. She's voyeuristically sizing up Matt, the teacher, her third grader, the teacher of his third grader. So Matt sends me a note to say, hey, Jeff, heard you talk about this before. I heard your discussion about this, about parents looking up their kids' teacher on social media. and I had to tell you about this. I just started my 4th year of teaching, and a parent has already contacted my administration about me for what I think is a ridiculous reason. This is Matt, the teacher. It's a fake name. I had to change it to protect this person, but it's very real. Matt, the teacher, goes on to say, a parent of a student in my class looked me up on my personal Facebook, my X account, and my TikTok and Instagram accounts, and sent me a friend request. Matt, the teacher, says, I opted to decline their request. And that's why I already have a complaint lodged against me with the administration. The parent thinks I must be hiding something since I didn't accept their request. So Matt, the teacher, is saying, I'm just trying to do my job. 4th year teacher, I'm doing my job. One of my students' parents friended me on social media. I declined it because I don't think that's any of my students' parents' business. I'm not a public profile person. I'm just a teacher. I just want to use social media to connect with my friends, not with everybody's kid that I teach and their families. So Matt goes on to say the parent friended them, and Matt, the teacher, says he declined it. The parent went to the administration, lodged a complaint, and the administration has put him on notice. Not because of his teaching, not because of what he's done. He's had great records, great job, reviews all the time he's been there. He's one of their best teachers, one of their favorite teachers. The administration loves him, but they've had to address it because of the parent who said, I friended my kid's teacher and the teacher declined it. And the parent went to the administration and said, he's got something to hide. And that made the administration have to start snooping around to figure out what's going on. So they brought Matt in, asked him about it. Now, Matt's own mom was confused over this whole thing and asked Matt, why didn't you just accept the request? His mom mentioned that there's nothing on his Facebook page that he would need to hide. Now, Matt just feels this is a boundary he'd like to set with parents. He doesn't want it crossed. He doesn't want to engage. His social media profile, and he truly has nothing on his social media, because I actually, after Matt sent this to me, I talked to Matt and said, let me see your social media. He said, okay, that's fine. Friend me, no problem. I went through Matt's stuff. There ain't nothing there. But Matt declined it for the reason that he didn't think it was his students' parents' business of what he does outside of being a teacher. He didn't want any of his information out there. It's no different than a lot of folks on television, especially women in particular. Some of the lady broadcasters on TV, they don't want stalkers. I get it. A lot of folks in media get stalkers. They don't want them. But this boundary that Matt has set with the parents of his students is causing a problem. And the administration is dealing with it and put him on notice. Matt says, now I'm not sure if I made the right choice or not. Signed, Matt, the teacher. What do you think as a parent, as a teacher, as an educator? Is that okay for a parent to friend their child's student? Is that acceptable? Is it not? Would you do it? Would you friend your child's teachers? And if the teacher would deny it, would that bother you? What if you're an educator? If you're in education or been in education, how do you feel about this? Is it okay? Is it acceptable for a parent of one of your students to friend you? And if you declined it, how would your administration deal with it? How would your peers deal with it? We're talking about education. We're talking about teachers. We're talking about parents friending their kids' teachers and being declined or accepted. where do you draw the line? And if you're going to do this with teachers, would it be acceptable to do the same with doctors? Would it be acceptable to do it with other professionals that you interact with? Social media, as it relates to connecting with professional friends as opposed to personal friends. Where do you weigh in on this? 800-288-9227 is the number. 800-288-WBAP. On the other side of this, I got to hit a quick break on the other side of it. I want to try to take some calls and see, what boundaries do you set? Where are the boundaries? Is it acceptable to set those boundaries? And how do you deal with those boundaries? Especially if you're an educator or a parent. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. I'm in for Chris Kroc on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. So we're talking about social media and where the line is drawn. Got a email from a listener who's a teacher, elementary school. It said one of the parents of his students friended him on social media. The teacher declined the friend request because he wanted to draw the line that that's not acceptable. He uses social media for true friends and communication and connectivity with friends, as opposed to on a professional level using social media to stay connected to the parents of his students. So friend request, a parent sends a friend. Parent was snooping on the teacher, quite honestly, to see what the teacher's political beliefs are, what the teacher does in their off time, what the teacher believes, if the teacher's an advocate, an advocate of what they're an advocate of. And the parent's snooping on social media, which is why the parent wanted to friend the teacher. The teacher said no and denied it. The parent wasn't happy about it, went to the administration, filed a formal request or a formal complaint. At that point, when it becomes a formality, the administration has to address it with the teacher, and it's still in limbo. And it just surprised me. My question to you, is that acceptable? Is it okay for parents to friend teachers of their children? And is it okay? How do you feel about administrations taking that formally, the formality and addressing it? And if you're an educator, if you are working in a school system or a college, an educator, and a parent friends you, has it happened before? What have you done? And how would you deal with that situation? To me, it's out of bounds. To me, it's over the line. To me, I support this guy saying, hell no, I'm not going to be a friend of yours on social media. If you want to interact with me as a teacher, if you want to interact with the teacher of your child, there's a place, there's a time and a space for that. And it's not my personal social media account. Yet the administration of the school and the school system is looking into it, and it's going up to the school board for discussion, and they're making a big deal out of it. How do you feel about that? It's the era we live in. 800-288-9227. My name is Jeff, Westside Jeff, and for Chris Kroc. 800-288-WBAP. Couple open phone lines. Gregory from South Lake. Thanks for calling in. You're on WBAP.
Hey, Westside, how you doing?
Great, man. Thanks for calling.
Hey, it's always good to speak to you. There's a bigger problem here, and the bigger problem is social media, period. It's become the private sector, NSA, CIA combined. You have everybody looking up everybody else's business, and this teacher probably shouldn't have social media at all. It is just an infectious disease that is destroying our society at every level. In fact, I'm reminded of an episode, I think it's season 1, episode 7 of the original The Outer Limits from the 1960s. okay? And there was an episode called Obit, O-B-I-T, written out like an acronym with periods. And the storyline was this alien race wanted to take over the Earth, and they did this by making these remote viewing machines available where anybody could spy on anybody else. And the plot was that they would demoralize humans because we'd get so involved in everybody else's business that we'd be at each other's throats. And this is exactly what social media is doing. I mean, I've also read and heard stories about guys who were, trying to date women, and the women were basically running a background check on them by looking at them through all their other social media and getting paranoid based on who they were friends with and everything else, and destroying relationships or preventing relationships from starting. This thing is a cancer, and everybody ought to stay away from it. I have no social media whatsoever except a profile on LinkedIn for professional purposes.
So, Gregory, I gotta challenge you and ask you. One of the comments you made is a teacher shouldn't have social media. Did you mean to say that?
I mean, no one should have social media, period, unless you've got something to sell, like your Coca-Cola or something like that. You shouldn't be on social media sharing your personal life with the universe, or even with a select segment of the universe. If people who are close friends who are on Facebook, I bet they have nothing to speak to each other about when they get together, because they've already posted and read about everything that they've done in between the last time they met and today.
What about somebody like me, Gregory, somebody in the public's eye that is on the radio? How you think I shouldn't be on social media too?
Only for your professional things. If you've got something to sell, which is your
the West Side Jeff show in for Chris Kroc.
Exactly. And so if you have social media, it should stick strictly to that. You shouldn't be posting about your life, your kids, your friends, your parents. You shouldn't be doing that. It should just be strictly business.
Well, Gregory, thanks for calling. I appreciate you. Go ahead.
Seriously, consider what I'm saying about how we have been living in 1984 since social media started. And everybody has fallen into this addiction of sharing their lives online, and all it does is become an intelligence service.
Gregory, thanks for calling. I appreciate you being a part of the show, and thanks for adding your opinion to that. I appreciate you being part of the show. Thank you very much. Back to your thought about social media, a couple thoughts for you is the cat's out of the bag, and it's an environment where everybody's on social media. I can't disagree with you on one thing, though, with regard to people are sharing too much stuff on social media. But in the media's eye, like I am, I think people expect and want people to be interactive on social media, which I am. And you can catch me at Westside Jeff, and I'll post some of the things that we talk about and some comments, and I'll interact with that. But a couple other things about social media. Two things that you need to know. Number one is it might surprise you to know that you talk to any of the women in broadcasting, especially in television news, and every one of them will tell you they get stalkers all the time. All the time. And I'm talking sexualized. I have heard from many, many women that say they always get dick pics all the time. It's amazing. I first heard that and went, what? And every woman I've ever talked to on in television broadcasting has gotten stalked and had that happen. A lot. Not just once, a lot. But the second thing is this story about a parent friending the teacher of their third grader wasn't about stalking for purposes of sexualization or something. It was about snooping on their politics, snooping on their personal life to see if they want their kid associated with that teacher. That's what that's about. And my question is, How do you feel about those incidents? 800-288-9227. Got to hit bottom of the hour news. Lori Waffen-Schmidt standing there looking at me. Has an update on what's going on in Ukraine. Some news out of Ukraine today. She's got that coming up in 3 minutes. On the other side of the news, we'll continue the conversation about social media, teachers declining, and a teacher getting called to the principal's office, and the administration formally addressing it, and it's still pending. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Westside Jeff in for Chris Crocker. News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. I get an email from a listener that says, "Hey, Jeff, I've heard you talk before about social media, personal, professional places on pages on social media." He goes on to say, and I'll call him Matt the teacher, just to protect his or her identity. Matt the teacher says, "I'm a teacher, 4th year of teaching in elementary school. I have a class of elementary students that one of my students' parents tried to friend me on Facebook. I declined it, and I got called to the principal's office, and I'm in trouble just for declining it. That's it." You see, the parent wanted to friend their student, their child's teacher, because they were snooping to see what the teacher believes, what the teacher is like in their personal life, what the teacher's political beliefs are, what the teacher does in their own time. And because the teacher declined it, the parent automatically assumed the teacher had something to hide. The administration looked at the teacher's social media profile and saw nothing. The parent went to the school system, filed a formal complaint. The school system is addressing it, and it's still up in the air. It's a very real scenario. I got another one for you. I have a teacher friend who has posted many times pro-Trump stuff, a Trump supporter. There was one post, though, that the teacher posted about low-level crime in the neighborhood they live, with crimes of opportunity, with criminals coming up down the street at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, opening car doors that are unlocked, taking change, stealing computers, whatever's available. Crime of opportunity. And the teacher, this person posted, "It's time for the police to crack down on low-level crime and to really care about that and protecting the neighborhoods." One of the students within the school system, in which this teacher teaches, was on that teacher's social media platform and saw that post about cracking down on crime, went back through his history and saw that he was pro-Trump, and filed a complaint with the school system because he's racist, because he supports Trump and wants to crack down on crime. The teacher almost got fired. The teacher barely saved his job. I said to the teacher when that happened, let's go public. Let's put this on the radio. Let's go public. Let's tell the story. Let's tell who you are, the school system. And he said, "No way." And I said, "Why?" He said, "No way, because then my entire career's over, my potential for income, my future employers. I can't do that." So the teacher was almost fired because a student claimed racism, and there was nothing racist on this guy's side. I went through it with him. He just asked that the police department crack down on crime, and he was a pro-Trumper. And the student put 2 and 2 together and automatically said he's racist. The administrator filed a formal complaint. The teacher almost got fired of it. When and where does social media begin and end? The personal side of them, the professional side of them. How do you feel about these kinds of scenarios? My name is Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, and for Chris Crock. Chris is back next Tuesday. I'm on social media at Westside Jeff. I'm getting several messages, and most people are saying, "Totally agree with you, Jeff. It's out of bounds." It's out of bounds. A teacher should be able to differentiate between their personal profile and professional profile. I've gotten a couple of posts, a couple of instant messages that said I'm an idiot, and I'm wrong, because social media is fully open, and it's an open space that should be open to everybody, and pass judgment by that. My number is 800-288-9227. Got an anonymous caller that didn't want to give their name, but I believe it's a woman, and she wanted to share some thoughts on this. And I encourage that. Whatever, if you want to stay anonymous, that's fine. Thank you for calling. You're on with Westside Jeff on WBAP.
Yes, good evening. Just want to say I am totally appalled and taken aback by the nerve of that parent.
You and I both.
I'm sorry?
I said you and I both.
Yes, I think educators deserve more respect than that. Educators are one of the lowest paying careers, yet the most abused, harassed, and people seem to think that educators don't have a right to have their own personal space, their own lives. Social media, I disagree with the gentleman that spoke earlier about how people shouldn't have social media. Social media was not meant for people to be harassed or accused or, what have you. It was meant so that people could connect. Some people use social media because they have family members or people that they love that live far away, and that is how they can see each other's lives and kind of live that life through social media with that family. So people need to give educators a break. We are losing out on teachers because no one wants to teach anymore. No one wants to be an educator because everyone feels like they have a right to impose. And instead of supporting them, they want to curse them down. Whatever views an educator has, whether it be political, religious, sexual, etc., that is their personal view. Educators do not impose their views. Educators do not talk about their personal preferences or political views or religious views to students. So that parent has no right, no authority over what the teacher can believe or not believe. That parent is totally out of hand, and that educator has legal rights. And so, if the school system or the district system is not being supportive of that educator, what that educator needs to do is act and seek legal counsel, because that is not okay.
Thank you for your call. I appreciate your opinion on that. The challenge there, and thanks for listening. One of the challenges there is a lot of teachers' unions are liberal left, and if this teacher were happen and is not, his media, social media isn't pro-Trump, but if the teacher were and the teacher union didn't like it, I'm telling you, teachers union may not stand up for them. Joe from Azle, you're on with Westside Jeff on WBAP.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for calling.
I have a question to ask you.
You name it.
Isn't social media and internet open forum to be able to speak your mind and freedom of speech?
It should be. But as we're learning from Mark Zuckerberg, what happened earlier this week in the Biden administration, tell him to take down stuff about COVID and all, and he acquiesced to that.
But it was the original forum of internet was to be open forum and freedom of speech.
Yes.
That was what it was designed for. Now, we all know It messed up with all the politics of it and people looking in on each other. But a teacher, a person of educator, Matt, I feel sorry for him, really. My wife's a teacher. She has to do the same thing I'm about to say. And I'm a truck driver, and I have to do it. I've had to take myself off of social media because I had to sign a contract with my boss saying that anything I post, if they don't seem necessary, they can fire me at any point. They can fire me. If I go have a beer on my off time with my friends that I haven't seen since college, I can be fired if my boss doesn't like where I drink at. My wife has to say and stay politically correct to keep her job. While students are in there screaming and yelling and saying stupid stuff, Snapchatting with each other, but if you stop them and take their phone away, they claim you're something, and the parents get involved, and then you have to meet with the school board. Anything you say on an open forum now is open public for all America to see. It's not hidden. You put it on the internet for a reason. You have to judge and see what you put out there. The teacher didn't put nothing out there wrong. Shouldn't be afraid of going through all the channels to prove his innocence. Because in America, you're guilty before you're proven innocent. You're arrested, you're arraigned, and then you're tried, and then you're released or you're put in jail. Matt has to understand that he's safe. He ain't done nothing wrong, and he wants to stand his ground. But he has to stay politically correct to keep his job, his career that he has chosen to do. No matter what he says, he's in the wrong until he's right. And that's the way America works now. It's bad, but it's the truth, man. And I listen to Chris Crock every day on the road. I'm a truck driver, and I listen to y'all all over the country. I could be in New York, still listening to y'all on my iHeartRadio. Not trying to plug anything, but it's really nice to hear somebody speak the truth, and I feel sorry for them. But the way the world works nowadays, you just got to know status quo. You got to keep your mouth shut until you don't. Because the first time you open your mouth, you're going to get pulled in the middle of, and they're going to examine, and you just don't have nothing to worry about if you ain't done nothing wrong. Matt,
Joe, thank you for your call.
To worry about.
Thank you for your call, and thank you for listening all across the country. One of the things about me, Westside Jeff, is I don't button it up. I just speak straight from the heart and bring on cancel culture. It is what it is. I'll tell you how I feel, tell you what I think. I speak the truth. And if you disagree with me, that's okay. And if you agree with me, that's okay too. But I'm a talk show host. But a teacher, a different animal. I have a problem telling teacher they can't post stuff on social media, and that you're gonna potentially fire or discipline a teacher for not accepting a friend request of the parent of one of your students. That's what we're talking about. 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. My name is Jeff, Westside Jeff. On the other side of this, a couple open phone lines if you want to weigh in on this. Should a teacher be fired for refusing to accept a friend request across social media? Not because there's something to hide, but because they want to differentiate between their personal profile and their professional career. A school system may very well be firing a teacher over that because a parent made a big deal of it, and the administration has to look into it. 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. My name is Jeff, Westside Jeff, and for Chris Crock, a News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. So we're talking about social media. And I got an email from a listener, a teacher, teaches third grade. He's got a third grade student who has a parent who friended the teacher across social media, Facebook. The teacher wanted to differentiate between their personal life and their professional life and declined the invite. The parent didn't like it. The parent felt the teacher was hiding something. The parent went to the school administration, filed a formal complaint. As you know, any employer has to look into formal complaints, has to review all the facts, has to address it. They can't say, we think you're a Karen. We think you need to go away. Forget it. If you don't like it, then pull your kid out of the school. Can't do that. The administration had to look into it. The administration's looking into it, and it's still up in the air on what they're going to do because their parents making a big stink about it. I've reviewed that teacher's social media. There ain't nothing there. Nothing. It's just the parent said to me, or the teacher said to me, I just want to be the teacher of this kid. I don't want to engage in somebody snooping on my social media and judging me in my personal life. These things happen. They happen. 800-288-9227. I have another teacher friend who is a pro-Trumper. Not stupid pro-Trumper, not all Trump, but has posted stuff, and his political opinions are pro-Trump. He also, at some point in time later, posted about low-level crime going on in the neighborhood in which he lives. How at 2 and 3 in the morning, there are level crimes of bad guys going up and down the street, going through open garages, going through vehicles that are unlocked, and stealing stuff. This teacher posted that the police department has to crack down on those low-level crimes and prosecute those offenders and hold them accountable. And this teacher's student, in monitoring his social media, lodged a formal complaint and claimed that he is racist. He's a white teacher, claimed he's racist because he wants police to crack down hard on those low-level crimes. And, oh, by the way, he's a pro-Trumper, so he's racist. The administration looked into it. He almost got fired. I said to him, let's go on the radio. Let's call out the district. Let's call out the student. Let's call out the specifics, because that's what the job of the media is. The role of the media is to be the watchdog of the community. Let's share it. And he said, no way. You got to keep me out of it, keep me off of it. No way. Out of fear for retribution. Because teachers' unions and because of administrations and because of stupid things that students do. That's what we're talking about. My question to you is this. How do you feel about a teacher who declines a personal friend request on social media from a parent of a student? Punishable or not punishable? Should the administration look into it? Should they not? What's your thoughts about that? 800-288-9227. Stephanie from Fort Worth, thank you for holding on for a little while. I appreciate you holding on. How do you feel about this, Stephanie?
I think it's goofy, but I live in a small town, and I've been friends with my kids' teachers, their principals, their superintendent. You know, we've been Facebook friends or, you know, Instagram and all that. My kids are older now, and I've hung out with the teachers, you know, outside and gone, you know, out to clubs with them to go see my kids play in a band. But I'm in a small town, so we were actually friends. Our kids were friends. And so, I mean, I think it's, you know, great to be friends with them. But I also think it's really goofy that they would take a formal complaint against somebody who didn't want to do it. That's ridiculous. And if they're taking it up to the school board, I think the school board should be willing to open up their Facebook accounts and friend every one of those parents that wants to be friends too.
Well stated. If you really want to do that, go on the school board's individual accounts and do the same. But something tells me, Stephanie, I will bet you, Stephanie, a lot of folks in public office like that have two profiles. They have multiple pages. And in some cases, they have burner pages. So their real page is a maiden name, a middle name, something that you can't find easily. But their professional page is something different.
Well, you know what? If they want to go to that much trouble, more power to them, you know, but they need to be willing to be friends with all of these people as well if they're going to force somebody else to. It's just silly, and they shouldn't have to worry about it. And I don't know. I didn't hear all of what you were saying originally. I got in the car and turned you on immediately. And how does he know that that's what they're trying to do? Does he just know they're snooping, or does he just not want to be friends with them, which I'm totally okay with that. He shouldn't have to be.
He's got the feeling they're snooping based off of the comments the school administration has said, because they wanted to review all of his stuff to see what he's hiding.
Okay, gotcha. No, I've snooped on
Nosiness.
people's money. I do it, you know.
Nosiness. Stephanie, thanks for listening.
Myself.
I appreciate you calling and being part of the show. Thanks for turning me on in the car. Appreciate it very much.